Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. This is Monday, January 27th, 2025. And if you're waking up in the Greater Toronto area this morning, you're about to experience one of the most dramatic temperature swings we've seen this winter season. Environment Canada has issued a special weather statement. That's the yellow alert level, one step below a full warning, for Toronto and surrounding regions. And what we're looking at here is a temperature rollercoaster that's going to take us from near record cold to well above freezing and back down again, all within the span of about 72 hours. I want to walk you through exactly what's happening here, when it's happening, and most importantly, what you need to do to stay safe through this wild temperature swing. Let's start with where we are right now, this Monday morning. Toronto Pearson International Airport recorded minus 14 degrees Celsius at 6 a.m. Eastern Time, with the wind chill pushing that feels like temperature down to minus 22 degrees. That's legitimately dangerous cold if you're spending any extended time outdoors without proper protection. Downtown Toronto at the Harbourfront Weather Station is sitting at minus 12, actual temperature minus 19, with the wind chill factored in. North York and Scarborough are seeing similar numbers, while Mississauga and Brampton are dealing with minus 15 and minus 16 respectively, with wind chills approaching minus 24 in those western suburban areas. The wind is coming out of the northwest at about 20 to 30 kilometres per hour with gusts up to 40. And that's what's really driving these brutal wind chill values this morning. Now here's where things get interesting. We have a strong warm front approaching from the southwest, currently positioned over Michigan and northern Ohio as of this morning's 6 a.m. analysis from Environment Canada. This warm front is associated with a deepening low-pressure system tracking northeast across the Great Lakes region. And it's going to bring a dramatic temperature surge to southern Ontario starting later today and really ramping up through Tuesday. The models, both the Canadian GEM model and the American GFS model, are showing temperatures climbing from our current minus 14 to around plus 4 degrees Celsius by Tuesday afternoon. That's an 18-degree swing in roughly 30 hours. And that kind of rapid temperature change brings its own set of challenges. Let me walk you through the timeline here, because timing is everything when you're planning around this kind of weather event. Today, Monday, we're going to stay cold through the morning hours. We're talking highs struggling to reach minus 8 or minus 9 by early afternoon. But as we head into Monday evening, that's when the temperature starts its climb. By Monday midnight, we should be hovering around minus 4 or minus 5 degrees. Tuesday morning's commute is going to see temperatures around minus 2 to 0 degrees. And then Tuesday afternoon is when we hit that peak. Plus 3 to plus 5 degrees across the Greater Toronto area, with downtown possibly touching plus 6 if we get enough sunshine breaking through the cloud cover. Environment Canada's forecast high for Tuesday is plus 4 for Pearson Airport, plus 5 for downtown Toronto. But here's the thing about these warm-ups in late January. They don't last. We've got another system, a cold front this time, diving south out of Hudson Bay and northwestern Ontario, and it's going to sweep through the GTA on Wednesday. Wednesday morning starts mild, probably around plus 2 or plus 3 degrees. But that cold front is expected to pass through the region between late Wednesday morning and early Wednesday afternoon. Behind that front, temperatures are going to crash, and I mean crash hard. We're looking at readings dropping from plus 3 degrees at noon Wednesday to potentially minus 5 by 6 p.m. Wednesday evening. That's an 8-degree drop in 6 hours. By Thursday morning, so we're right back down to minus 12 to minus 14 degrees, virtually identical to where we started this Monday morning. Now, let me explain why Environment Canada has issued this special weather statement. Because it's not just about the cold or the mild temperatures individually. It's about the rapid transitions. When you get temperature swings this dramatic this quickly, you create hazardous conditions that people need to be prepared for. First, we're talking about the freeze-thaw freeze cycle that's particularly dangerous for road conditions. During Tuesday's warm-up, all that snow and ice we've got on the ground right now is going to start melting. We're looking at potential for localised flooding in areas with poor drainage, especially in parking lots and low-lying sections of roadway where storm drains might still be partially blocked by ice. That meltwater is going to refreeze Wednesday night into Thursday morning when temperatures crash again, creating what transportation officials are calling a widespread black ice event for the Thursday morning commute. The City of Toronto's Transportation Services Division has already issued an advisory about this. They're planning enhanced salting operations for Wednesday night into Thursday. But they're asking residents to exercise extreme caution, because even with treatment, there's only so much you can do when you've got this much water refreezing this quickly. Highway 401 through Toronto, the Gardiner Expressway, the DVP. Highway 427. All of these major routes are going to be particularly treacherous Thursday morning. If you have flexibility in your work schedule, this might be a morning to delay your commute by an hour or two. Let the sun get up, let the road crews do their work. Beyond the road conditions, we need to talk about personal safety during these temperature extremes. This Monday morning's -14 with wind chills of -22. That's frostbite territory. Environment Canada's guidelines say that at wind chill values below -20, exposed skin can develop frostbite in 10 to 30 minutes, depending on wind speed and individual factors. If you're waiting for transit this morning, if you're walking to school, if you're working outdoors, you need full coverage. We're talking insulated gloves, not just those thin knit ones. Proper winter boots, a hat that covers your ears, a scarf or neck warmer for your face. Layering is critical. A moisture-wicking base layer, an insulating middle layer like fleece, and a windproof outer shell. The other concern during this cold snap is carbon monoxide poisoning, and this happens every winter when we get these extreme cold events. People start using alternative heating sources, portable generators, barbecues, camping stoves, inside enclosed spaces, and that's how people die. If you're experiencing heating problems in your home, call your utility company, call a professional. Do not use outdoor combustion devices inside your house, your garage, your enclosed porch. Toronto Public Health has a cold weather alert in effect right now, which means emergency shelters are operating at extended capacity and city warming centres are open for anyone who needs them. Let's talk about Tuesday's warm-up and what that means practically. +4, +5 degrees in late January might sound great after this morning's deep freeze, but this is where we need to think about infrastructure. That rapid melt is going to put stress on drainage systems. If you've got eavesdrows and downspouts on your property, this would be a good day to make sure they're clear, because you're going to get water flowing that's been frozen in place for weeks. If you've got a sump pump in your basement, check that it's operational. This isn't a major flood risk event like we'd see with heavy rain, but it's enough melt that poorly maintained drainage can cause localised problems. Wednesday's cold front passage is going to bring more than just the temperature crash. Environment Canada is forecasting a period of snow squalls off Lake Ontario Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday evening. We could see brief periods of heavy snow and reduced visibility, particularly in areas east of Toronto along the Lake Ontario shoreline. Durham region, especially Pickering, Ajax, Whitby, Oshawa, you folks might see the most significant snow squall activity Wednesday afternoon. We're talking accumulations of perhaps 2 to 5 centimetres in the heaviest bands, combined with that rapidly falling temperature and those strong northwest winds developing behind the front. Visibility could drop to less than half a kilometre at times in the most intense squalls. The wind is another factor we need to discuss for Wednesday and Thursday. As that cold front sweeps through and cold air rushes back in, we're going to see northwest winds increasing to 30 to 40 kilometres per hour, with gusts potentially reaching 60 to 70 kilometres per hour Wednesday evening. Toronto's waterfront, the Toronto Islands, harbourfront. These areas are going to see the strongest winds. At 60 plus kilometre per hour gusts, we're talking about potential for localised power outages from tree limbs coming down, especially if those limbs are loaded with heavy wet snow from Tuesday's brief warm-up that then freezes on Wednesday. Now let's put this in some historical context. Temperature swings of 15 to 20 degrees over a 2 to 3 day period are actually not uncommon in southern Ontario. Our position between the Great Lakes and our exposure to both Arctic air masses from the north and Gulf moisture from the south means we're right in the battleground zone where these systems collide. What makes this particular event noteworthy is the combination of how cold we're starting, how warm we're getting relative to late January averages, and how quickly we're crashing back down. Toronto's average high for late January is typically around -1 degree Celsius, with overnight lows around -7. Tuesday's forecast high of +4 or +5 puts us roughly 5 to 6 degrees above normal, while Monday morning's -14 is about 7 degrees below normal. The special weather statement that Environment Canada has issued is in effect for Toronto, Mississauga, Brampton, Vaughan, Markham, Richmond Hill, basically the entire Greater Toronto Area core, as well as extending west to include Hamilton, Burlington, Oakville, and north to include parts of York Region and southern Simcoe County. Durham Region to the east is also included. The statement was issued Sunday evening at 8:47 p.m. Eastern Time, and is expected to remain in effect through Thursday morning. The key points that Environment Canada is emphasising: be prepared for rapidly changing road conditions. Allow extra time for travel Wednesday night through Thursday morning. Dress appropriately for the extreme cold bookending this warm period. And check on vulnerable neighbours and family members during the cold extremes. For specific infrastructure concerns, Go Transit has indicated they're monitoring the situation, but aren't expecting major service disruptions. The TTC is operating on normal service schedules, but is advising customers that surface routes could see delays during the worst of the weather. Toronto Pearson Airport and Billy Bishop Toronto City Airport aren't showing any preemptive flight cancellations as of this morning, but Wednesday's snow squalls could cause some delays for arrivals and departures during the Wednesday afternoon-evening window. For practical preparation, here's what I'd recommend based on this forecast timeline. Monday today, make sure your vehicle's winter survival kit is stocked. Blanket, flashlight, extra warm clothes, some non-perishable snacks. Make sure your washer fluid is topped up and that it's the winter formula rated to -40. Check your tyre pressure because it drops significantly in these extreme cold temperatures. Tuesday, while it's mild, that's your window to deal with any outdoor tasks that have been impossible in the bitter cold. Wednesday, this is the day to be most vigilant. Morning commute should be okay, but don't be out on the roads Wednesday evening if you can avoid it. Thursday morning, if you absolutely must drive, give yourself extra time, accelerate and brake gently, increase your following distance dramatically. I want to emphasise again the black ice risk for Thursday morning, because this is where we historically see the most accidents during these freeze-thaw-freeze events. Black ice forms when that thin layer of meltwater refreezes on the road surface, and it's nearly invisible. The road looks wet or even just slightly damp, but it's actually a sheet of ice. Bridges and overpasses freeze first because they're exposed to cold air both above and below the road surface. If you're driving Thursday morning and the temperature is below freezing, but the roads look wet, treat them as ice. For vulnerable populations, seniors, people experiencing homelessness, people with cardiovascular or respiratory conditions, these temperature extremes are particularly dangerous. If you know someone who fits these categories, check in on them. Make sure they have heat, make sure they have appropriate clothing if they need to go outside. The City of Toronto's 311 service can provide information on warming centre locations and cold weather programmes. Looking beyond Thursday, the extended forecast shows we're settling into a more typical late January pattern. Friday looks seasonable, highs around -2 or -3. Saturday, similar. There's a weak system that might brush southern Ontario Sunday into Monday, bringing a chance of flurries, but nothing major at this range. The key takeaway for planning purposes is that Thursday's cold is going to stick around through the weekend. So that's your complete weather picture for the GTA through the end of this week. If you found this forecast helpful, please hit that subscribe button. During rapidly changing weather events like this, you want to make sure you're getting these updates. Drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from and how you're preparing for this temperature swing. Stay warm today, enjoy Tuesday's brief thaw, and stay safe Wednesday night into Thursday. I'll see you tomorrow with an update. Take care, everyone.